Hey, good morning, Emily. Check that groove up. I'm here. It's not no. I'm better, but I'm not recovered. But I'm going to work because it's what you do. We're a very small service. We've got a skeleton crew because half the team are still on leave. And yeah, I'm not great, but I'm better. So welcome to flight 702, 17 degrees. It's what, Tuesday morning in Australia. Welcome to Pissweek Airlines. Please take a seat. What do you mean you can't find a seatbelt? There are no seatbelts on our planes. For goodness sake. Goodness sake. Hope you brought your own snacks, treats, and beverages, mega pints, because we don't serve stuff on this flight. I've wanted to go live on YouTube for the last 4 days, and I've had absolutely no voice, which many would say is a blessing. Hey, Anne-Marie, how are you? How are Janice and Maple? I did set up the live, but I didn't set up for later, so that might be why Emily popped in, but was like, is anybody here? I don't know how I'm going to last on the phone today with my voice. At least I have a bit of a voice now, but the good old summer cold, or flu, or serious allergies, I don't know what the hell it is, but it's wiped me for 5 days. But I can't really complain because I haven't, it's not a flu. I think it's a cold, bad cold with a healthy dose of yay. Sonny looked at me with the usual heartbroken puppy dog eyes as I was leaving just then. Breaks my heart to see how distraught she is that I'm leaving. It's like, oh, darling, if I don't go to work, we don't get any money, and I can't buy you any food and treats. So turn that frown upside down, Sunny Bum. She just loves having me around. She's much happier sleeping all day if I'm there. I'm also going to apologise in advance. There could be a lot of sneezing and wheezing and coughing. Who knows? Right on cue. And this is why I didn't go live, because that wasn't snot, by the way. I blew my nose. It was just, I've got an itch on the inside of my left nostril, just a bit of info you don't need. She does love me, and I love her. We're very imprinted on each other, that's for sure. But wow, the face she turns on, it's like the cat in Shrek. You know, Antonio Banderas with his holding his little hat and looking all forlorn. It's the same look. How can you leave me? So, well, you've had me around you for 5 days, and every time I've wanted to pat you, you've bitten me, tried to play with you, and you're like, not in the mood. That's why I like cats, though, because they don't, like, there's no BS with a cat. Cats let you know what they're thinking. They have no F's to give. They do whatever the hell they want. They're awesome. I should have taken a leaf out of that book as a younger human being because I spent way too many years of my life worrying about other people, helping other people, thinking about other people. And for what? But I wanted to do a really scathing live about the media reporting in America with not just the Idaho murders, but so many other cases, and just chat to you guys about it, and in particular, see how our American friends feel about it, because it's so blatant now, the manipulation of human beings using the media. It used to be sneaky. They used to have really good writers who would be able to manipulate with, like, as plain as the nose on your face. And don't get me wrong, they've always been into it, but they were smarter. Now it's just like blatant, in your face, emotional manipulation. People are lapping it up. You know? That's who you need to trust, especially if they're about to cut you open. There's people that have careers as journos that didn't even get qualifications to be journos. They started out as, doing the mail deliveries inside a newspaper and eventually became a writer for them. To be honest, I'm more likely to listen to those kind of people than the ones that went to some posh college to get some sort of degree and learn about the ethics of being a journalist, and then as soon as they start working as one, just throw all of that shit out the window. Like, I want to make a difference on YouTube. It's a really small one. I'm not like, I'm here to change the world. And by small, I mean even just one person going, I found this weird Tasmanian chick, but she talked to me. She thinks like I do. She's made me question the way I've been behaving online, and she's right. I'm an idiot. I want to have intelligent conversations again. And then they hit the subscribe button, and yay, my small change has happened. There's actually some really good commentators on YouTube who are calling out the way things are being reported in the media, who provided a very interesting analysis of the sort of culture that is creating incidents like that horrible death of Tyre Nichols. People that have done their research, looked into things, studied things. And very few people rock up to their channels too. And that's where I hang out. I hang out in small channels with good content. Kim Heffernan, how are you? I'm going to put my car in for another service. I had a service a couple of months ago, and it sounds like it's got a friggin' turbo engine in it. Sneeze telling. One sneeze. Oh, I'm tired of sneezing. Sneezing's exhausting. Sneeze tally too. Oh, my clients today are going to be like, you right? I'll be like, oh, not really, but how you doing? Hey, Emily, good, glad you came back. I set up the live and then I had to say goodbye to Sunny who was turning on the don't leave me face. So I had to spend a bit of time giving her a massage and making her feel loved and bestowing the very important job of looking after the house today. I didn't schedule it for later, I just set it up. So you're probably like, where are you? We're waiting for you. You get more bad watching YouTubers. Yeah, if there's a part of me that's really stupid, I mean, there's a lot of parts of me that are stupid, but regarding YouTube, then I just get a bee in my bonnet and I'm like, oh, look, stop this. And I see all the people in chat going, you're amazing, this is so true. And it's like, it's not, it's awful. And you're listening to your media and they're lying to you. They're doing exactly what they want you to do. You're buying into that BS and you're spreading it all over the interwebs. Oh, thanks for the reminder, Emily. Although there's apparently, allegedly, if people writing caps in chat, it's a sign of trolling. And that's why a lot of channels don't get on the algorithm because they got too many trolls. But this little channel's still growing, so, you know, I don't know. Don't know if I'm convinced that that's the case. But thank you, Emily. I mean, I'm feeling better, but I'm not better, as my sneeze count of 2 will indicate. I'm definitely better than I was yesterday, but I'm not better. I'm not better as in feeling 100%. Hey, Bristol. Oh, I don't know. You might find me gross to listen to. I got the sneezes and the wheezes. You might be like, yeah, I'm cooking dinner. I don't want to listen to somebody sneezing. But we've had a really weird late, again, summer, but way more rain than we usually get. And we're heading towards the causeways. Hopefully Scout will rock up because I'm nearly at her favourite one. She loves the first one. I mean, I think she loves them both, but the first one's her favourite. It's my favourite too because you can see more. The other one, the barriers are a bit higher and you can't see as much. Yeah, so we've been having amazing summer weather, but we've had all this unusual rain, which doesn't normally happen where I live, and all of these trees and shrubs and everything have like multiplied in size. Down where I live, and in fact this whole area, we have coastal wattle trees, which are really, really potent. Like their pollen is next level hardcore allergy inducing pollen. And when I first moved down to where I live, for the first few years, just with the normal seasonal Scouts, just in time for your favourite causeway. Yay! Speak, oh the devil, and horns appeared. Here you go, Gorge. Hey, your favourite causeway. It is my favourite one too. I do love them both, but this is my favourite one. There's such a vast expanse of water on both sides, and the little railing you can see more, and you get that amazing sky. Your favourite one too, Emily? Oh, hopefully someone will say the second one's their favourite, because the second one might feel left out. I mean, I love the second one as well, but this is the one where we see pelicans and dolphins and yeah, Kim, I get mad too. I go in, especially when I haven't had a voice for 5 days. So I'm like, bugger it, I'm going into this chat and I'm speaking up. And it's just not worth it because you get blocked almost instantly. Or people are just so snarky and they're like, and it's like, oh, I thought we could just all have, you know, open discussions, you know, just be adults and, you know I like to play devil's avocado. But a lot of creators, or more so their chat, they go in hard on the devil's avocados in the chat. It's usually me. Anyway, I can't change the mind of that sort of think tank. Like, I can't change the mind of the masses who are all lapping up what the creator is saying. Causeway number 2, McGee's Bridge, we also love you. I love being devil's avocado. But people don't. They don't want someone else to come along and say, hey, have you considered this option? They're not like, how do you evolve as a human being if you're not open to changing your mind? You know, if you're not prepared to listen to people and their points of view and look at it and go, didn't think of it that way. That's interesting. They're not like that though, are they, on YouTube? They're very, don't you come into this chat and argue with the creator. I'm not. I'm arguing with you twits in the chat. I'm not even arguing, actually. I'm conversing. Yeah, it's incredibly hard to be sad when this is your drive to work every day, you know. And then the drive home, I get the beautiful causeways too, and I get down to my glorious beach. You know, the city in my rearview mirror. See you later, Big Smoke. Although Big Smoke, I mean, Hobart's hardly a big smoke. So this area here where we're driving now, on the right-hand side is the Royal Tasmanian Golf Course, which is very pretty, but you can't really see it because of the trees, but I get to see a bit of it. Left-hand side is a nature reserve, and it basically runs right down to the coastline to a beach called 7 Mile Beach. And sometimes when we're down where I live, when we go to my thinking spot, we're looking at the back of 7 Mile Beach and the sand dunes. You love this area too. And we've got the airport coming up shortly. Never really pointed out I mean, you guys probably know this journey as well as I do now. So on the right-hand side, we've got Barilla Bay and the Barilla Bay Oyster Farm, just in there. Yummy! Because there's big waterways to our right. And then on the left, we've got the airport coming up. And sometimes we see a plane right about now landing or taking off. But So yeah, to the left is the Aeroflot. Can't see any planes. Tasmania has your heart. Mine too. It's a good little island. I agree. Coastal areas are beautiful. There's just something, like, even though I've been sick, just getting down on the beach all rugged up, which I looked ridiculous because, people were swimming and I'm like wrapped in a wrap, which I then had to take off because I got too hot. But just getting some salty air, and I couldn't really, I wasn't able to power walk or anything like that, but just being able to go for a little stroll. Mount Wellington ahead. Not yet, but soon, yes. Go, Emily. So we've passed the airport, and then now on the right we have sort of an industrial area called Cambridge Park. And then to the left, we've got paintball and also a shooting range, which is where people have to go and train if they qualify to own a gun here. That's where they go to do their course to get a license. I am okay, Scout, thank you. It's a combination, I believe, of a cold and also really the major allergies, like the wattles down where I live are flowering again, and their pollen is so potent. And when I first moved down there, for the first 3 years, I was constantly taking antihistamines. And I remember getting really upset, and I was saying to him, I'm allergic to where I live. But it does impact everyone. But the trees, we've had all this rain, the trees have like quadrupled in size, and they've also flowered for a second time. It's pretty bad where I live. Like, I had friends of mine that came down on Sunday for lunch for a belated birthday catch up for me, and well, in fact, even a belated Christmas catch up for us. I wasn't contagious or anything like that, and I said to them, look, it's not COVID, but if you guys don't want to come, I understand, but if you are going to come, take a histamine before you leave home, because an antihistamine, because everyone down here has got the sniffles and the watery eyes, and it's actually quite hard to breathe as well at times. And I've been using my puffer a lot. But anyway, my sister-in-law, the one that I just caught up with in Singapore, she's moved back to Tassie, and my brother gets back in 2 weeks. And she dropped in on the weekend as well, and she'd been further down the Tasman Peninsula, and it's even worse down there. The people she was staying with, one of them was thinking about calling an ambulance because they couldn't breathe. Like, it's really bad. And we're not getting a lot of breeze to blow it away. And then if it rains, then it settles on the ground, and you're basically just living on a giant bed of pollen. But yeah, it absolutely flattens you. And I've got histamine issues anyway. I'm allergic to bees. And I've also got a histamine intolerance I discovered about 8 years ago. So I've got to be really careful with eating food. I hate being this older person that's got allergy issues, it sucks. But yeah, if you're histamine intolerant, you can't eat what they basically call old food. So leftovers that are more than 2 days, like you can eat leftovers the next day, but the day after that, it'll make you feel like shit. Same with frozen food. You really should try to restrict how much frozen food you eat. And also even canned food is considered to be old food. So like the freezing, the canning, even the leftovers, it gives the food an opportunity to grow more histamines, and that's what messes you up. So you've got to try to eat like a raw, fresh, not raw, but like a fresh seasonal diet, which I do anyway. But I've got to be really, really careful about eating food that's old. It doesn't mean it's off or anything like that. It just means that it's had an opportunity to get more rich in histamines, which are not good for me. Pathetic, I know, but it's just the way it is. I'll try and read chat soon. I think Kim, you were commenting about me driving on the wrong side of the road. I actually had remember when I was doing, I was making fun of all the middle-aged women that were hanging out in 4chan and quoting them as a reliable source of information. I'm not saying they're not, but the women were like, with the Idaho 4th, all the theories and stuff, they were just salivating. They're like, I want to go and see what they're saying on the 4chan. And they're all going there and then coming back to Facebook groups and YouTube channels and telling everyone what they read on 4chan. And I was like, I don't think you should be in there personally, Beryl. And I did a drive and I was playing the role of Auntie Beryl, which got lost on some 4chan. I had a lot of 4chan people commenting on my videos for a week or two. For the most part, I mean, I expected there to be a few snarky comments or making fun of me. I mean, hello. And they did. They accused me of being transgender. They didn't realise Auntie Beryl was a character and they critiqued her. And I'm like, oh, geez, like, come on. You seriously think there's some 70-year-old grandmother in Tasmania driving around talking about, I love the 4chan boys? But one of them made a comment about me driving on the wrong side of the road and said that it made me look like and I can't use the word that they use because it's one of those ones that YouTube don't like, and it got put into put into my held for review thing, so I didn't see it straight away. But his comment was, stop driving on the wrong side of the road. It makes you look like a beep. And I really wanted to reply and say, your comment makes you look like a beep. But I didn't. Because it was held for review, and I'm like, there's no way I'm putting that on my channel. Yeah, see, Canada, you let the team down, Kim. Every other Commonwealth country drives on the right side of the road or the left side of the road. But because you're connected to the US of A, you had to go with them and their wackadoo idea. It never, like, even living in the States, I never felt comfortable driving after a year. On the other side of the road. I mean, I was able to do it, but it always felt really weird. And that's one thing I loved about being in Singapore. They drive on the left. Okay. Yeah, it's weird doing it. And the worst thing is when you try to cross the road for the first time in a country where they drive on the opposite side of the road and you look the wrong way to cross the road. That can be bad. That happened to me a couple of times in LA. I'm like, hey, all right, I got to look the other way. Got it. Gotcha. And then, I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Asia and lived in Vietnam, and I mean, there it's just like free for all. Just drive wherever the hell you want, basically. But it somehow works, you know. My brother was a classic. He picked us up at the airport in Singapore. We got in the car and he went, I honestly thought Tasmanians were the worst drivers in the world until I moved to Singapore. I was like, well, you haven't spent enough time in Adelaide either. Adelaide's drivers and Tassie drivers are the worst in Australia, I reckon. But yeah, Singapore, pretty bad. They've got a word that they use, um, which is like Singlish, which is sort of that Singaporean English um, dialect they've got, and it basically means I'm not going to let you in. I'm not going to let you merge. This is a race. You're not going to win it. I am. Don't even think I'm going to let you over. And they've actually got a word for it. And they're proud of it. And it's quite funny because they're such a polite people. Like, Singaporeans are friendly, they're polite, the country is, immaculate. It's such a weird thing that, they're just such lovely, lovely people. But then you get on the road and it's like Carmageddon. Did any of you ever play that game? I loved Carmageddon. Used to get splatter bonuses the more people and animals, unfortunately. I mean, it's a game, so don't get upset. I didn't never kill an animal, but I had quite fun. Yeah, probably not a great game these days, really. That was back in the day when people didn't use their cars and trucks as weapons. That's cement shoes in chat. G'day, Groover. Why's the waterfront closed on the 5th of February? What's happening here on Sunday the 5th? Some sort of race, I'd imagine, marathon. Oh, it was a pretty violent game, but kind of funny. Sounds like it wouldn't be, but it was. The guy who put me onto it was a cop at the time. I think that's why he loved it, and probably me too. I mean, I wasn't actually a lawyer back then; I was still studying law, but he was the boyfriend of my best friend, the one that now lives in San Diego, and he loved it. He put me onto it. We used to have awesome Carmageddon sessions. But I think being a cop, I think he just enjoyed being able to play something that was so reckless and irresponsible and nothing like his day job. His name was Nick. And we used to laugh our heads off. He used to narrate it as well, and it was very funny. Very funny. Mind you, I was more of a Sonic the Hedgehog kind of girl. It will, Emily, and once again, I'm very proud of you too. Where were we when you were mentioning that? And someone was asking about birthdays, and what was it, me? But very proud of you, girl. That's incredible. You're an inspiration. The new season of Australian Survivor started last night. It's a heroes and villains season. And in the first challenge, 2 people ended up being taken to hospital. Yeah, cue the Rocky music. Da-da-ding, ding-ding. And how you doing, Cement? You hanging in there, mate? You need Rocky music too, actually, because you're a survivor. Actually, no, for you, we're going to do I'm a Survivor. No, we're going to do Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. You quit drinking last June. Well done, Groover. Because I burnt out, my body and my tolerance for alcohol is so low that I don't drink much anyway. And I got to say, I don't miss it. I mean, I used to be, like everyone else in terms of my social group and just Australia generally. Like, we were just such big drinkers and big binge drinkers, and I have my fun, but now I don't miss it. I mean, I enjoy having um a little celebratory bubbles like we did on my birthday. Um, but I can go for months without even thinking about it. But there's quite a lot of people now that are just choosing to be sober. There's a few people in my social group who've decided they've had their fun and they don't want to drink anymore, and it's actually making me pleased because peer group pressure in your 50s from your friends going, why don't you want to have a drink? What's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me. I just don't want to have a drink. Like the peer group pressure to have a drink, some of my friends are still a bit like that, and I have to really be mindful of um, when I catch up with them because I'm going to park here today because I can. Hey, Miss Kay. But yeah, I'm busting to do a live, guys, about the way the media is just feeding the sleuths, and the sleuths are just buying into it, and just how dangerous it is. And I'm really keen for people like Emily and Scout and other American, in particular, members of the community to participate in it as well, because I haven't really been able to, well, I haven't been able to go live because I haven't had a voice. And some would say that's a blessing. But I didn't even feel well enough to make some videos. Like the worst thing about these allergies, the sneezing and coughing and everything and watery eyes, you kind of get used to that. But it's the being so lethargic that I really struggle with. And yeah, there's nothing quite like lethargy, really. But I do. Yeah, a girl who quit drinking, a former client and friend of mine in Adelaide, when she stopped drinking, she always gets her water in a wine glass. And she said people don't actually look at what's in the glass. They just see you holding a wine glass and just assume you're drinking wine. And that was how she managed to keep her friends from, hassling her for not drinking. Yeah, and the foggy head, it's horrible. So all I've really been doing is just bouncing around and listening to different creators, and um, even revisiting people I used to find entertaining and at some point just found revolting and stopped following them. But, curiosity kills the cat. I've gone back to see if they've improved or changed, and in fact they've gotten worse, in my view. But a lot of what I've been listening to is just also just media coverage, and obviously, like the last time I went live, it was all about Cara Canodal and that whole Ashley Banfield mess. Finnegan has basically helped me get better at a much more rapid rate than if I was just putting up with it. The problem with Finnegan is I do react to the sleeping tablet component of it. So I can't take them like now because I will literally curl up and go to sleep at my desk. But at least you get a really good night's sleep with Finnegan. And yeah, as it goes on each day, you wake up feeling a little bit better. Like I actually woke up this morning and thought, yay, the sneezing and wheezing has stopped. But within 5 minutes of being upright, it kicked in again. Yeah, I love not liking the taste of alcohol as well. But there's this one group of my friends who I adore them, but they're very big drinkers still. And visiting them is always, I've got to make a point of leaving at the time right before they start turning that corner and want everyone to party with them, because I get, come on, just one drink. And it's like, you do not understand. You don't know the hangover that I'm going to have for the next week just from having a couple of drinks. Like, it actually messes with me so much. And there's always these arguments, and I'm like, I'm exhausted by it. Like, I don't want to have to argue with my friends about my choice to not drink. And I kind of feel, I've said a few times, it's like, if I'm not good company sober, then that's pretty unfortunate. But, if you only like me around you when I'm drinking, then I think that's kind of sad, because I think I'm an interesting enough person without drinking. And I've just got to a point now where I'm just like, yep, cool, it's my time to go. Have fun, everyone. And I don't want to be like that either. It's not me to go, okay, I'm out. But that's how I feel. Because I'm like, oh, here we go again. I'm going to get guilted for not wanting to drink. I don't sit there yelling at all of them about the fact that they want to drink excessive amounts of alcohol, I don't lecture them. It's kind of weird. It's a bit like not having kids, And you're all probably going, what? Why? How? I'll explain. Yeah, I got drunk on one glass of champagne the other day when the Andes came down for our belated Christmas birthday catch-up. I was like tipsy as. I was like, I'm going to drink some water. I'm getting a bit Pedro pissy pants. But yeah, the not drinking compared to not having children thing. Throughout my life, and thank God I reached an age where people stopped asking me, but throughout my fertile years, I was frequently asked, when are you going to have children? Why don't you have kids? And I've never, ever in my life, ever asked somebody why they had children. Never. But people feel entitled to question why somebody doesn't have kids. Does anyone else have that same experience? I'm not going to put full makeup on today because I'm going to be blowing my nose most of the time. Yeah, it does. It's another good tip too, Miss Kay. It's interesting, like my friend Denise saying, just the fact that you're holding a glass is enough. People don't actually look at what's in it. And I used to do the same thing. I'd have mineral water. Or the other thing I often do is get a soda and lime, but in a short glass with lots of ice, so it looks like a gin and tonic or something. Or you could get I don't drink Coke, but, you could get Coke, or you could get dry ginger ale and with a bit of lime and say it's a rum and dry or a brandy and dry. But it's true. People just see the glass and they just think you're having a drink. They leave you alone. But when you're at someone's home and they're all big drinkers and they're watching what you're putting into your mouth. But yeah, I've spent, my fertile years being questioned why I don't have children. And now from one group of friends, I get, why are you drinking? And I've never said to people, why did you have kids? And I've never said to people, why do you have to drink? I don't know why the judgment is always thrown in my way, my direction. It's bloody weird and annoying. You asked if you would go. Yeah, I've been asked that millions of times too. A strawberry daiquiri minus the grog. Exactly. Heaps of gay people have kids. It is rude and insensitive. And to be honest, with me, when people were, all my friends were getting pregnant and at that point in time when I was young, like in my 20s, when friends of mine were getting pregnant, I sort of had believed that what society had told me, that it was almost like my role to have kids. And when I was told that I couldn't, I had to get my head around that concept quick, smart. And then when I started doing comedy and I met a lot of women and men who had made the decision to not have kids, and I was like, oh my God, it's a choice. This is awesome. But, while my friends were every time, oh, I'm pregnant, and I'd be like, yay for you. And then I hadn't really told many people that I wasn't able to have kids. And then I'd get the, when are you and Tim going to have a baby? And I'd be like, um, we won't be. Thanks for asking. Or, I'd be asked, why don't you have kids? And I used to say to people, why do you ask people that? Because unless someone's fervently decided from a very early age that they want to be child free, for most people, if you ask them that question, it's not going to be a good answer. It's going to be, we've been trying for 5 years and I've had 17 miscarriages, or we're about to embark on another round of IVF, or I haven't met the right person yet. Like, there's so many answers, but none of them are easy. And, there is more to life. Like, when you find out you won't be having children, if you haven't actively started out being vehemently child-free, then, you've got two options. You can fall apart and be miserable for the rest of your life, or you can go, well, this is the life I've got. How can I make my life amazing? I know, I'll travel and I'll change careers and I'll do all these things that my friends with kids will never be able to do. At least not for the next 30 years. I just pack up and move to another country and start a life in some place where nobody speaks English and do all these random things. But yeah, the same with the drinking. Like, I don't question why my friends need to drink buckets of grog every time we catch up. I've never said to them, well, why don't you have an alcohol-free night? Because that's the sort of that's how judgy it feels when I'm being asked why I'm not drinking. Oh, come on, just have one. It's like, you have just one and then be in my body for the next week. You get corporate burnout and have organs shutting down, including your liver, and see what it's like when you have 2 or 3 drinks. But God forbid if I said to them, how about we all catch up and you don't drink alcohol for one? Because I have got a group of friends and I adore them, but I don't think I have ever spent time with them where they haven't had a drink. And at one point I was like, I'm just going to catch up with them, at times where drinking's not going to be on the cards, like go out for brunch. And one time they said, oh, we're taking the dogs to the beach. And I'm like, perfect. I'm going to join them. We're going to go to the beach with the dogs. They took a 6-pack of beer with them and it was like 10:30 in the morning. I have got a fur baby. Sunny bum. The sulker. Doesn't want a bar of me until I'm leaving the house. And suddenly I'm like the worst person in the world. How can you leave me? I've been ignoring you for 5 days. But now that you're leaving, I don't want you to leave. I want you to be with me 24/7. Like, she loves me being home, but she does ignore me while I'm home. But then when I have to leave, I get the teary, tear on the heartstrings, sad face. Yeah, me too, in a way. Not that I fully quit, Emily, but when I burnt out, I found out who my friends were too, because, I mean, even I didn't appreciate how long it takes to recover from burnout. And it's quite a long amount of time. Like, we're talking 2 years recovery. I get people who open their mouths and all their guts fall out, tell me their life story. Yes. Yes, there's those people too. And see, I don't want to be that person, but when someone is constantly giving me shit for choosing to not drink, making a decision for myself and my body, and the number of times I've said, why do we have to keep having this conversation? I get really stressed. It makes me anxious. So I tend to go to things, catch up, but I've always got an out. I'm like, I need to leave by 9 because I'm doing a live on YouTube, or I've got work in the morning. And I just leave before they turn that corner where they've had that one extra drink and they start to get really mouthy. People are a season, reason, or a lifetime. I live by that rule too. Well, not rule, but that saying, definitely. So what was I going to talk about today? I've got so much I want to talk about. I think I'm just going to have to start being one of those creators that just goes live for like 20 hours. Burnout is horrific, and I had no idea. But I also didn't have any idea of how debilitating anxiety can be either. Burning out taught me a lot. Not that I was ever dismissive of friends of mine that had anxiety. I just personally hadn't experienced how severe it can be. I'd underestimated how debilitating it can be. Um, but yeah, hopefully I'll have a bit of a voice soon and I'll be able, because even like just chatting for 52 minutes, I'm pretty close to having to end this live because I've got to talk to clients all day. I don't think my throat's going to last the day. I've got lots of ginger, lemon, and honey teas. Some people have no emotional intelligence. It's ignorance. It says a lot about them, not you. It does, but it's been put in that position. I do that as a moderator on YouTube. I leave the chat before he turns the corner and gets really obnoxious and nasty with people. I'm curious who you're talking about, Scout. I'm a lay listener trainer in my faith community. Been 3 years. I'm heading towards burnout. Well, you need to, if you can recognise it, you need to back away a bit. Yeah, because you don't know it's happening to you. You don't know. I mean, and the thing that's scary about burnout is, yeah, exactly what you're saying, Miss Kay. Like, little things were happening that I started to go, like, I mean, I'll give you an example. I'd send an email at work with an attachment, but I'd forget to put the attachment. And then I'd be like, shit, I didn't send the attachment. So then I'd write another email and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't add the attachment. And then I'd hit send without adding the attachment. Like that kind of crap. And I'd never been like that. And the other thing was the way I described it was in the particular career that I had at the time and the job that I had, it was like there were 100 balls floating around in the air above my head. And I knew that they were all going to drop at some point, but I always felt like I was going to catch most of them, if not all of them at times. But then when this anxiety started to arrive, I still had all those big balls hanging above my head. Not big balls, just balls. And I wasn't even sure I was going to catch one. Do you have a few sore throat? Yes, I've actually got one in my mouth at the moment, Scout. Gaggle bicarb soda, salt and warm water. Oh, all right. I do often gargle salt water when I've got a sore throat, but I didn't know about adding the bicarb. That's interesting. And we're getting new people in. Good. I'm a natural empath, so it's hard, but I know it's healthy. Yeah, and this is the thing. We can't save the world. That's the way I feel with YouTube. Like, I can't change the way people are, but I can comment on it and I can look on in horror and just hope that some people just wake up and realize. I mean, I can't believe there are still YouTubers going live talking about the surviving housemate and incriminating her and saying that she's clearly suspicious from the tiny shred of the statement that they put in the probable cause affidavit, which they had to, because the probable cause affidavit shows they've got evidence to have these charges laid. And she identified the perpetrator walking out of the house. But this whole frozen in shock thing, which we've talked about so many times on my channel, it's been constantly misinterpreted. Like, to me, if you're walking along and you're coming out of your room and there's someone walking past, you freeze on the spot. Now, she might have been frozen in absolute terror, like people are saying on YouTube, but she might have all just frozen on the spot, and she just used the term frozen in shock, like, oh, there's someone there. And they're still going on and on and on about how, she should have called the cops. And it's like, but you're completely putting your opinion of what she should have done on the term frozen in shock, and you're not looking at how that could be interpreted several different ways. The whole conflict of interest thing, people are still going live about that. There's going to be a mistrial. There's not. People don't understand the difference between public defenders and private lawyers that you engage and have a retainer and have them representing you. I've got Honey with me. I'll message you. I've called him several times personally to say, please watch your lives and see what a Jekyll and Hyde personality he has. Oh, okay. I look forward to that. Yeah, I mean, luckily where I work, we, because we deal with people's emotions, like every client that I deal with today will have emotional issues, serious ones, and financial. They'll be stressed, depressed, we do mental health first aid training, and we do have things in place, like we get to have breakouts. I made a suggestion last year that the type of injury that our clients have is put in our calendars after their names to try and break up the ones with psych injuries, just to give us a bit of a breather in between, because it can be very heavy. Very heavy. And I mean, I am I'm a public defender in what I do. Not criminal. I don't do criminal law, but I have been a public defender as a criminal lawyer as well. But all these channels are still going on, and you see everyone in chat going, he's going to appeal if he's convicted and say that she was incompetent counsel or the conflict. It's like, no. And also, the judge is well aware of all of this. If there's an issue, the judge would have made an order as well. But all these people on YouTube heard somebody saying something, mainly like the media and then YouTube creators repeating it, and they're not budging on it. And it's like, why aren't you listening to some lawyers talking about it as well, just to see the other side? Why are you taking Ashley Banfield's view over lawyers? I mean, There's plenty of lawyers on YouTube, including me, that have said it's not a conflict and explained why, but they don't care. Like I've said, I mean, I don't get hundreds of people rolling in who want to listen to the facts and the truth. They want the drama and the sensationalism, and they want to believe what the media's told them and then just get out there and repeat it wherever they go. And they speak like they're an authority on the topic, but they've only looked at one side of it, and the one side they've looked at isn't correct. You do that every day, Scout. We all want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Emotional transfer, yes. Ashley does. And they're right, that's the other thing. To even do that interview when there's a gag order in place. And I mean, the chance of Cara Canodal even being called as a witness is incredibly remote. I mean, this is a woman who, from all accounts, had very little to do with Xana from a very young age. I mean, I've heard people say 3 years old, and I've heard people even say 1 year old that Cara no longer was in Xana's life, at least not as a parent. I mean, her grandparents raised her. So the chances of her being called as a witness are incredibly slim, but nonetheless, the gag order does say interested parties, and she would definitely be, she would fall into that description for sure. But in terms of her being pursued for breaching the gag order, they're not going to. I mean, it's pretty obvious that she's on the run for starters. It's probably very difficult to contact, and they'll probably just go, look, she really wouldn't have known about the gag order. But Banfield shouldn't have done it. Incredibly unethical. And this is the problem. You've got all these dickheads in chats who've believed what Ashley has said and talking about mistrials and conflicts and everything else, and not talking about how unethical it was for Ashley to interview Cara in the first place. And this is what I don't like. They cherry pick what they want. Oh, Cara, you mean, Emily. Unfortunately for Xana, she's... No, and then even in the interview, she's going, are you going to speak to the cops about this? And she's like, absolutely. And it's like, you're not. You're going to call the public defender's office? Yes, I am. No, you're not. You're on the run. You didn't rock up to your arraignment hearing in December. I know what you meant, darling. You didn't rock up. We don't even know, really, if Ann Taylor's even met or spoken to Cara Canodal at length. Look, when a client comes into our office as public defenders, the principal solicitor gets allocated the file and then she delegates it to one of the team. But for the purposes of a court document, she would be listed as the principal on that file, essentially, even though it's really just her name is on there because she's the head of our public defender's office, and Ann Taylor was the head of hers. We don't even know when the last time Ann spoke to Cara. So all this stuff about, I trusted her, I believed in her. You didn't rock up to court. For my sanity, I only want fact, not fiction, because victims and their loved ones matters. These so-called creative subscribers are not professionals in these careers, LE, attorneys, medical examiners. Yeah, but nobody ever wants to listen to anyone that's got any experience or skill. Like another example, people are still going on about how the surviving housemate knew exactly what was going on because they can't believe that she didn't hear anything when 4 people were being stabbed. There are so many experts, and this is graphic, but there are so many experts who have spoken on YouTube about how silent stabbings are. If you get the person in the right place, first up, they're not going to be able to make a noise, not a sound. And you've had all of these specialists talking about it, and knife experts, and the general public on YouTube listening to them. They know better. Oh, you'd hear it. You'd hear for really? You may not. And look at how quickly it was done too, like the time frame in which the 4 murders happened. There wasn't a lot of opportunity for screaming and yelling going on. It was swift and brutal and silent. And then another one was like when he walked past her, she must have known because of the smell of the blood. The smell of the blood the following morning when they all woke up would have been starting to be apparent, but not mere minutes after the murders had happened and he's leaving the house. But you've got all these experts, these little armchair experts. She would have smelt it. No, you actually wouldn't have. And isn't it disgusting? Because they're doing all of this inflammatory, ignorant, they're having all of these inflammatory, ignorant conversations, and not once are they thinking about the fact that 4 people lost their lives and everyone who knew and loved them, they're grieving. And they just know better. And if you say to them, and this is where I go into chats, and I'm like, you really should go and have a look at some of the videos up about the reality of a stabbing murder. And, just look at the other side. And then they get snarky and they're like, nice way to promote your podcast. I'm like, I'm not in here asking people to subscribe to me. I'm just asking people to open their minds a bit more. Consider every side of a story before you make a decision and form an opinion based on expert information, not an irresponsible media or an inexperienced YouTuber who's just got a nice personality and looks good and has good tech skills and it's all very slick and well produced. But at the end of the day, they actually have absolutely no experience or skills in the area they're covering. Correct, too. They were very quick to say that they didn't think that numerous people had anything to do. I mean, they didn't use the term cleared, but they said they don't believe they connected so many people, and they ignored all of that too. They went after the Jacks. They went after Jeremy. They went after even Anan Harsh, who's kind of odd. They went after the surviving housemate. Now they're questioning the other one and how we've heard nothing about Bethany, so she must be suspicious. And then they have the gall to sit on their channels and go, it just doesn't add up. It will not add up until you know all the information. And guess what? You don't even know half of it. You don't even know a quarter of it. You'd be lucky if you know 5 or 10% of it. It's not meant to add up for you because you're not actually investigating this case. You don't have all the info, so no, it's not going to add up. So when they sit there going, it just doesn't add up, you're actually right. It doesn't add up, and it's not going to because you're not one of the investigators. Trust me, the investigators and the information they've got, it all adds up. And that's why we focus on the facts here. And that's why this channel is never going to be big. Because I've noticed even other channels that go, it's all about the facts here, but they still have this kind of drunk demeanour or they go off on these other things that are definitely entertaining. So the subscribers keep coming back. So when they are talking about serious topics, they still get hundreds of people rolling in. But, you listen to them covering a serious topic and you're like, that's actually not right. But because they've got a following and people love them, they're not questioning things or speaking up. Like, have you noticed that over the last, got to be 5 years this year, but the last 4.5 years, how many people in chat refuse to actually correct a creator as well? And I'm looking at going, you all know that person's wrong right now and you're not saying a word. What the hell? Like, help the creators to evolve as well. You don't have to be a dick when you call out an error, but to not speak up and say something about it is really bizarre to me. To take your example further, he may not have cut himself on the knife just because of the hilt. The handle has grooves in it for blood to slide into it. Yeah, I know the cut thing because then we had the whole the whole, honing in on his hands in the car, and well, they definitely look like cuts. It just, you can try, but you get blocked. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I did bounce around and check in on some creators that I used to find highly entertaining, largely because of how idiotic they were, but also at times funny, just to see, if they've evolved. And they haven't. But one of them was talking about how if they are diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness, I know Emily knows her knife action. Yeah, to see a psycho talk about it. Emily's onto the stabbings. So this creator was talking about if they were diagnosed with a terminal illness that end their life, which is, we've got voluntary assisted dying here now. Yeah, they never apologise to people for their wrong accusations and destroying these people's lives on the internet. Or they do apologise, but it's like you actually knew better and should never have done that. And those apologies are very shallow to me too. There are a couple of creators who have apologised, but I still believe that they should never have even gone down that road, not based on how they previously conducted their channel and focused on facts. So to me, the apology is like, actually, you really need to take a hard look at yourself and question why you even let yourself go down that road when you've been so adamant for years that you would never do that. But no, we're all picturing Emily now like wielding a samurai sword. You are a true crime junkie. I mean, I don't mind that my channel will never be huge because I stick to the facts. I still think I can offer an interesting perspective to those who want to talk about the facts. So this creator was saying how if she was diagnosed with a terminal illness, she would check out. And I don't have an issue with that because I would do the same thing. Hey, Joey. Oh, yeah, the Murdoch trial, isn't it a juicy one? I just haven't had the time. I kind of just had to choose my battles, or not my battles, but which ones I'm following. I still want to go back and do more about the penis trial. But anyway, this creator said that her way of checking out would be to do 90 miles down a highway and slam into a Mack truck. And she wasn't live, but if she had been, I would have gone in there and lost my shit. Because some of the clients that I have are truck drivers who've had people do that. And how dare you inflict a life of hell and PTSD on a truck driver? If you're going to check out, find a way to do it that it doesn't hurt any innocent person or potentially kill them. We've had cases where the truck driver's been killed and the person trying to kill themselves has survived. But I was absolutely horrified to hear that, and I was reading her chat to see if anyone said you can't do that, and one person did. Only one person. Yes, you've walked into me saying penis trial. You'll have to look back. I've already reacted once. I'm going to do another one. I'm saying no more about the penis trial. I want you to be curious. Yeah, Will, but I haven't done any reactions. I still haven't seen it. Yeah, with train drivers and truck drivers. And it's hideous. And I've got a very close friend who will never work again because he has PTSD from someone doing that to him. And I couldn't believe it. I went and read her chat and nobody said to her, one person said you can't do that. But, I'm just incredulous at how people aren't responding to this stuff or calling this stuff out or saying to the creator, that's not okay. Like, That's horrible. Why would you do that to an innocent person? And it's the same reaction I have over and over again all the time is, what are these people doing? These victims were innocent people, and you're ripping everyone involved in their lives to shreds. Well, they all should just be left alone to grieve right now. And none of the people that are getting ripped to shreds online, and I'll use Anne Taylor as an example, and the surviving housemate, are even able to speak up and defend themselves because they're subject to a gag order. They can't even defend themselves. And you'll see people in chat going, interesting that they haven't put out a statement. They can't. Oh, yeah, it's horrible, isn't it, Emily? I mean, I adore my friend, but he's going through hell, and it's completely changed their lives, like him and his wife. I mean, they're survivors, and they're tough, and they will get through it. But I couldn't believe a creator saying that they would do that. And, you know, and the chat wasn't even outraged or horrified. One person reacted. Everyone else just kept chattering away. There's some really warped thinkers out there, Groovers. Hopefully you don't think I'm one of them. I mean, in a YouTube sense, I am a warped thinker because I think differently to most people on YouTube or most creators. Yeah, she does know that they're subject to that. And isn't that disgusting? But then you've got people in chat going, well, interesting, Anne Taylor hasn't spoken up about it. There's a fucking gag order. How dumb do you people have to be? It's just the warped world of the YouTubes. But anyway, I'm going to go and be a public defender. I was actually chatting to the Scientific Skeptic the other night in his chat, and he mentioned me jumping up on panel with him one day soon. So next time he's live and he drops a link, I'll jump up with him because he's so interesting. I just wish he'd sort out his audio, because I find I can only really listen to him and pay attention if I've got headphones on, and he's got so many interesting points of view and things to say. I don't know, Emily. I don't know. I mean, look, I think she put out some lame-ass apology and was still justifying her BS interview. I suspect the producers have been bombarded with complaints based on her lame-ass apology, in which she basically just went on and continued to use Cara as a weapon, basically, to defend what she'd done. It was pretty disgusting. But yeah, the Scientific Skeptic's a really interesting bloke. And we were chatting the other day, and I'd love to hear me with Skep. Good old Skep, I love him. He's great. So yeah, and I was chatting to him about being a public defender, and he was quite interested in chatting with me. So look out for that one. I mean, the thing, I listen to him a lot because he's often live when the rest of America seems to be asleep. I actually said to him, you know, you've got a really big audience of New Zealanders and Australians because of the time you go live. And I think it was you, Emily. Was it you who put me onto him? I mean, I'd already seen him once, I think, and I'm in Messenger, and I said, yeah, I've actually seen him once, but I did say that someone from my lovely community had put me onto him. But he has really good conversations. But again, you know, he gets like 30 people, not 300 or 3,000, and he should be getting that many. There should be that many intelligent people on YouTube that want to listen to intelligent conversation. By the way, Critical K, or Just K, you're not the only person who's ever talked about critical thinking on YouTube. Emily, if you can drop the link before I end the live for Scientific Skeptic, but he's really good, and he calls out the tragedy pimps on YouTube and talks about irresponsible media, irresponsible YouTubers. He's got really interesting stories. He loves people jumping up and sharing their stories. He's fascinated, like, with the English language. He's incredibly well travelled, which is great because he's got a global outlook in his conversations. He's not restricted to the US. But yeah, punch in Scientific Skeptic and you'll find him. Thank you, Scout. I hope everyone has a lovely day too. I hope my allergies don't make my day too unbearable. Well, I heard her say that, and I was like, because I put people like her on so I can have a little heckle while I'm cleaning. She's never live when I put her on, unfortunately. But I heard her say, you know, we don't even get taught critical thinking at school, and I'm the only one that talks about it. And it's like, well, no, you're fucking not. Like, a lot of us are critical thinkers and just show that by the way we look at cases and stuff. We don't constantly have to tell everyone we're critical thinkers. But there's heaps of critical thinkers on YouTube, but they're all tiny channels. Because nobody wants that. Nobody likes reality. Everyone likes sensationalism and drama. And they like to blame people. And then when they're wrong, they don't want to apologize. Yeah, she's but that's why I put her on. Sometimes I need to have someone to heckle while I clean the toilet. I think they've got enough, Joey, but the 6 months is, you know, before the prosecution are going to get up on the preliminary hearing, no doubt about it. But yeah, there's something that's very curious about that whole case. And I think people are underestimating Brian for sure. It's going to be a fascinating one to follow. Just got to stay alive for the trial because the trial probably won't be till next year at the earliest. Although the one benefit of where it's going to be held is that they probably don't have a heavy list. Like if these murders had happened on a campus in New York City, it probably will be 3 years before it goes to trial. Thanks, Scout. But yeah, this is what I do though, guys. I listen to people that are unlikable because I like to listen to other points of view and I like someone to heckle. But I've got fairly similar views to her about the Idaho murders and the media and so on. I'm not going to lie. But she's very difficult to listen to. I can only have like 15 minutes max. But I did hear her say that she's the only person on YouTube. In fact, she claims she taught people about critical thinking because they weren't taught it at school. There's an ego on that woman that blows my mind. I just don't know people that are that self-confident. Yeah, I think he was arrested when they had enough evidence. But as a former defense lawyer, I can see a pretty easy way to explain away a lot of it. But in any event, we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are. And until next time, don't get struck by a smooth criminal. Lots of love from me and Sunny Bum.